What's up, everybody? This is Rob Shack. So today we're going to be doing the next video in my rival series of the London cars. We're comparing the Ascent 237SI, the Modicum XSV.5, and the PT Phoenix DDX. We'll start with the PT Phoenix DDX. Goodness gracious. These names are mouthfuls, so be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Help me get to 1,000 subs. If you're new to the channel, what I'm doing with these videos is I basically compare the level 2s, level 1s, and level 3s of every car in London. I did this for New York, and I want to do it for London as well. For when you're in the story mode, what cars I think are the best for each little series. If you basically go through like I did and race all the level 1 series cars, and then all the level 2 series cars, and all the level 3 series cars together, kind of bunch them up like I did. That's what I'm doing here, and I'll show you which cars I think are the best for each of the series. So we'll start with the PT Phoenix DDX. This is the level 2 for Kareem. Again, these cars, the PT cars, are so weird in that their gears are really short. They have all 4 gears really quickly, and they spend the whole rest of the time in their 4th gear. It's very strange. I've never seen a car tuned like this before. The PT Phoenix DDX is significantly better than its previous car. The PT standard is pretty garbage in my opinion. It's not a very good car, and the DDX is significantly better, and it is one of the very rare cars in the series. There's only a couple other situations like this where the level 2 car has NOS and the level 3 does not. It's a very strange thing that they do with this car, but the level 2 of Kareem's car is significantly better because one, its stats are all better, but also it has NOS, and that is a very weird thing. It makes it where that this car is very significantly better, and it covers its biggest weaknesses, which is where you can use NOS to either get through your first few gears quickly, or you can use NOS right at the beginning of whatever gear, like if you're at your 3rd gear. I used NOS a lot right when I would shift to the 3rd gear to get through that quickly to get to the 4th gear. That way the NOS doesn't waste time on the shifting of the gears, which happens in gears 1 and 2. So that means this car's acceleration is significantly better, and it actually looks better than whatever it says on the little chart because of the fact that they don't really take into account NOS when they set those things up. So the PT Phoenix DDX is a very, very good car. It's surprising how they put NOS on it. I don't really know why they did that. But in terms of top speed and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, this car is way better than the previous version of this car, but also it is way more rivaling of the other 2 cars, the Modicum XSV.5 and the Ascent 237, I guess it was SI maybe. Those 2 cars are still a little bit better in terms of top speed, but I think the NOS gives this car the acceleration it needs to be better than both of them, and they're both really good. Not gonna lie, they're both their raw stats I think are a lot better than the PT Phoenix DDS. But the thing that really puts the PT Phoenix above everything else, I think it's generally a little bit lower in stats with pretty much every other area. It has more durability, I'll give it that. It's way more durable. You can slam into buses and barely, like what I just did there, and barely take damage. Take relatively low damage compared to what you could deal with. Compared to the Modicum and the Ascent. So that's the thing. That's a big perk for it. But the fact that this car has NOS puts it well above the other 2. That is just such a huge advantage. And the fact that your NOS resets if your car gets totaled, or if you every race starts, you get more NOS. You know, obviously, if you fail a race and you restart it, you get more NOS again. So the NOS is just such a good advantage for this car, and it's so weird that they give it to the 2nd car. I still don't really know why they did that, and that's gonna come in handy, or come into play in the later series where I do the level 3 cars. We'll reference that again. But top speed is good for this car. I don't think it's as high as the Modicum or the Ascent, but again, if you're on London, you're gonna be doing more tight corners, and again, that's where that NOS comes into play. And it has a pretty good amount of NOS too. It's not bad. I mean, what is it, 3 or 4 or whatever? It's really not bad at all. Its handling does seem a little bit better than the previous PT. It grips a little bit more. And I think that's the goal. Obviously, they want the cars to be better. It'd be really funny if it was just totally worse. but again, that'll come up later. So good car, definitely starting off strong with this one. The PT having NOS is something that makes it just so unbelievably unique. It's very rare to see a level 2 car having NOS. It only happens a couple more times, and it's not with a car in the main series. It's the only car in the main series that does that. So, you know, comparing its stats to the PT standard, it does seem like the handling was better because the handling was more evenly that's what I'm thinking of. Allocated? There we go. Allocated. It just seems like the handling for the first one didn't match the stats. You gotta have like a handling that's proportional to its power. And the PT DDX Phoenix is better with its handling because it's more evenly allocated to the top speed and acceleration, if that makes sense. So now we'll move on to the Modicum. The Modicum XSV.5, again, just better than the XSV in every way because it has better top speed and handling. Sorry, top speed and acceleration. You'll notice that it still has a slightly weird gearbox, not as weird as the PT Phoenix DDX. Still a little bit short for the first three, but it's more balanced than the first Modicum, so it makes that is a lot better. But again, you cannot beat having having NOS. It's just, this car is incredible. It's very, very good. This is a little bit more of a closer battle compared to the first one, where it was only a two-way battle between the Ascent and the Modicum. This one is a little bit closer battle because of the fact that the top speed acceleration for this car is just better in every way. Top speed seems to be better than the PT DDX, but again, no NOS is such a big disadvantage that every other car in this little comparison has. You know, you cannot beat not having NOS. Like, that's just so good. And also this car's durability is completely garbage. This bridge, this little tunnel is very glitchy, and this area is super messed up. So it's not the Modicum's fault, but I mean, you just slip over once and you're already super damaged, and it shows. The car doesn't look good when it's damaged. But again, in terms of just power, if you can not hit stuff, the Modicum is really good. But especially with London is super, you know, curvy and tight corners and blind corners, and you can hit a lot of stuff. So with the Modicum, you're going to take a lot of damage. I think in terms of like raw stats, this car is really good. But yeah, again, that NOS is so good. Having NOS on a level 2 car with the Phoenix is just like insane. That's such an underrated thing, and it's super special that it's like that. So that's part of the gift of that car, is that you have something as unique as having NOS on a level 2. I mean, you could literally use the PT Phoenix DDX and race some of the level 3 cars just because having the NOS is so good. But again, stats of this car is good. The Modicum XSV.5 has great handling. I mean, it's the same as the first version, so you're not going to go wrong there. Very touchy. It stays under control when you tap the handbrake. If you tap the handbrake, this car will just basically, however hard you tap it, it'll turn a little bit, and then it just stays like that. So you can just round corners super well. The Phoenix DDX doesn't handle as well as this car, and I think the Ascent does not either. This is the best handling of the three, but it's also super fast, so it has that going for it. Very touchy. If you touch that handbrake, it's going to basically turn at whatever angle you touch it, and then that's going to be it. It's just going to straighten itself out. The PTs don't do that as well. They do it worse, and then the Ascent does it decently well. This car is very under control. Very hard to unsettle a car like this. It'll just stay going. It'll stay strong. It'll stay in the speed, but then that's the thing. It does not have NOS. So the fact that the PT DDX loses speed a little bit more than the Modicum, but has NOS, the NOS will put it back up ahead of it in terms of speed. So that's part of the thing. Again, this is a very close battle, and I want to hear y'all's opinions. If you want to comment below, let me know what you think is the best car of the three on the level 2. If you want to choose between Ascent, the Modicum, and the PT. I think the Modicum has the best handling out of the three, and I think its raw stats are the best. I think I would put, if I had to decide here, I would put the PT Phoenix DDX in first. I would put the Modicum XSV.5 in second, and then I'd put the Ascent 237 SI in third. But again, this is a very, very close battle between the three. The NOS puts the Phoenix just barely ahead, but it would be pretty garbage without that NOS. Let me just be honest. The PTs just don't have the handling. They're more of the like kind of wild cars, but unfortunately they don't have the power to compensate for that. But the NOS is basically makeshift power that keeps it in contention, and I think puts it just a little bit above the other two. The Ascent 237 SI is also extremely good. Looks like a mix of a BMW and a Nissan Silvia. If you ask me, it looks like the back of an S15 Silvia and the front of a BMW E46. So it's good stuff, good car. Again, this car is the well-balanced one, so I think I would prefer, honestly, the Ascent 237 SI. But I think in terms of stats, you have to have the PT Phoenix DDX because you're just not going to have another car that has NOS at its second tier. Plus, the PTs are pretty terrible on the first and the third, so you're kind of gonna, if you want to kind of drive all three cars, I think the PT Phoenix DDX is the best one of the three in terms of what it has in terms of advantage. The Ascent 237 is very, very good. Again, super close. I mean, when I talk about this stuff, like I would give the PT Phoenix DDX, if I had to give it a number, I would say it's a 92 out of 100. The Ascent would probably be an 89 out of 100, and the Modicum would probably be a 90. This is a very close tier. These cars are very balanced, but I think because of I think you can just do so much with the NOS. The NOS gives the player a lot of control that you don't have with the Modicum and the Ascent. But I think in terms of stats, the Ascent is more balanced compared to the Modicum and the PT. But the thing that makes the Ascent better than both of them is that I think it's better balanced for its durability too. The Modicum just takes too much damage, way too much damage. It's so weak, and that's the point. It's the mini of this three. It literally looks like a Mini Cooper. But with the Ascent, it's just so well rounded. And again, I do really like the Ascent 237 SI. Again, I would prefer it. I prefer the Ascents for all three, but I think you have to be objective here. Having NOS on the PT Phoenix is super good, and then having the touchy handling of the Modicum is better. So that's why I put the Ascent just barely in third tier of the level 2s. It looks cooler to me too, honestly. I think the Ascents look great. I think they do a good job of kind of, mixing a lot of my favorite types of cars that I drive in Gran Turismo and stuff like that. So that's why I like it so much. But I think you just have to go with, if I had to choose for y'all, if I had to help y'all as much as I can, which I think I'm trying to do here, I would pick using the PT Phoenix DDX first. And if you haven't unlocked that, go for the Modicum. If you haven't unlocked that, then stick with the Ascent. That's where I'll be. I'll be with the Ascent. I like the Ascent 237. I think its design is good, and I think it's balanced, and I think it's fast. Has better gear ratio. It actually has 5 gears, unlike both the PT and the Modicum. So that's kind of its. If you want to have a car that's more realistic, because most cars have a 5-speed, then go with the Ascent. It's a good car, honestly. I think it actually has a higher top speed, but again, lower acceleration, so it's hard to get there. And on a London course, you're going to be sliding all over the place, and you won't get to that top speed a lot. If you could drive all three of these cars in London or in New York, I think the Ascent would be the best. But I'm talking about, I take into account the London layout. You're going to want a car with touchy handling. So I think that's why the Modicum's ahead of the Ascent. But the NOS is better than having high handling, in my opinion. Having 3 NOS on a course like London, you're going to want that NOS. So that's why I do it this way. So now, to give a review of these 3 cars from level 1 to 2, I think the Ascent 235 is the best of the level 1s because I think its stats are already super balanced, and with the upgrades between the 3 of them, between the Ascent 235 to the Ascent 237 SI, it's minimal. You just get a little bit more acceleration and top speed, but you already kind of excelled in those areas, so it doesn't really, it's not like, you won't notice that shift as much. With the Ascent, that's that. With the Modicum, you already have such a great handling that getting acceleration and top speed just makes your car even better. You notice that more because its acceleration and top speed were the weak areas, even though they were already super high. The acceleration, or the handling and durability were already set to their ways. I think if the Modicum had gotten a little bit more durability, it would probably be top one of, it'd be the best car of the three. It just isn't because it's still so weak. Destroyed that ice cream truck. That was hilarious. All right, and then I think with the PT, the jarring increase in power and stuff like that is so noticeable, and then also it gets NOS. You just can't go wrong with that. So I think I've said the same thing a million times. Sorry if that was super repetitive. I think I just wanted to kind of balance out what I said, because I definitely started strong by saying, yeah, the PT Phoenix is really good, and then I talked, about how the Ascent and Modicum are not as good, but I wanted to still give some benefits to each. I think the Modicum is the best raw talent of the three, without, because it doesn't have NOS, it doesn't have the NOS, but it's the best without that. And then and then with the Ascent, I think it's just the more well-rounded car, looks the best gears, even most efficient use of power, which is why it's so close to being the best car. I think what lowers it is just that it doesn't seem like the second tier is as much of a noticeable increase compared to the Modicum and the PT. But I think they probably did that on purpose, because I think that they would, if you had to ask them based on the way they made it, the Ascent 235 is the best of those three of the level 1 tiers. So I think it makes sense to make the PT Phoenix the best of the level 2s. So hope this helps. If you're playing through this game, I hope this gives some good information. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Enjoy the video's over. So hope y'all enjoy the video, and have a